I understand what you're saying in the fact that they're following their father basically to IU. So I get what you're saying in that regard. But I do think it has happened organically because Dylan McCullough was the guy who reached out to Tom Allen about taking that job. He wanted to leave Kansas City to come back to Indiana to coach those running backs. So in a way, I understand what you're saying, but the fact that Indiana is such an appealing place to coach, that's a product of what Tom Allen and his staff have done and what Indiana has done. They they upped the salary pool for assistant coaches. They have given
the money,
Tom Allen a better contract.
The resources given to football, crazy.
Yeah.
It is nuts. Look at the assistant coaches' salaries just over 4 years, maybe three.
Yeah.
But 4 for certain. It's crazy. There was probably 4 years ago, maybe 2 assistant coaches, maybe 2 coaches besides Tom Allen making $500,000. Maybe. I will guarantee you there are double that to maybe 5, not including Tom Allen right now.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
I mean, and you look at
it's 4 at least. I know.
Look at. I don't have the contract numbers in front of me, but like what Dylan McCullough or Charlton Warren is making like 1.5 times or 175% of what Kane Womack was making. Like it's almost double. And the same is true from Dylan McCullough or Mike Hart to Dylan McCullough. So there's that investment there. And that's why it's such an attractive job for some of these coaches. And by the way, if you are wanting to get into becoming a coordinator or if you want to be a head coach somewhere, obviously we've seen that happen the last 2 years with Kalen DeBoer and then Kane Womack. So it's a destination. And again, I think that speaks to what Indiana's product is, what the culture is, because you were able to get an assistant like Dylan McCullough and reap the benefits of that. Now you got all 3 of his sons coming to the program. And I think when you see a top 50 player, I think he's listed as the top 50 in most recruiting areas. I'm not sure where he is in terms of the composite, but a top 50 player, more top 100 players are going to see that, and it's going to be more appealing. You said it's just a matter of time before Indiana gets a 5-star. And if they have another good season, I agree with you. I think they'll get a 5-star talent at some point in the next couple of years.
I can't find this chart. It's driving me nuts. That recruiting chart that I talk about that JB sent. I know it was. He sent it to me, and I'm fairly certain I thought it would be here in my messages. But it went back to I'm trying to think when it went back to. It was just Indiana's recruiting, but it goes back to like the year 2000. Mm-hmm. Maybe. I think as far as back as it went. But it has 1-star, 2-star, 3-star, 4-star listed at the top, how many, and then the percentage of what that was. And in 2000, 82% of Indiana's recruiting was 2-star, averaged at 2-star or below. Mm-hmm. Then you can see it moving a little bit. You can just sit there and look at the numbers, but then you see them get their first 4-star. They had not gotten a 4-star yet at all. Then you see them get their first 4-star, and then it was like, or maybe they got 2, then they got 1, but then they got like 4. And you can sit there and look at it. The percentage, it just starts crossing over to where now 80% of their recruiting is above the 3-star level. It has to be moved over yet one more. Indiana has got to be at a high 3 to a 4 average to where they can continuously compete in the Big Ten.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Well, and I think that's going to happen. I can't remember if it's 6 or 7, but 6 or 7 of the 10 highest ranked recruits in Indiana football history since, I think you're right, 2000 is when Rivals and 247 Sports and ESPN started keeping track of star ratings. All those recruits, 6 or 7 of those 10 have come under Tom Allen's watch. So that's a big deal. So you just in the last 4 or 5 years alone, you've seen a huge bump in recruiting. And think about this. In Tom Allen's short time, and I know Jim Harbaugh isn't far behind, or he's had just only a few more years, but Tom Allen has flipped 2 Ohio State recruits. Jim Harbaugh has flipped 0. So that's that's a big deal. You don't see players flip from Ohio State, Alabama, Oklahoma very often. It happens once occasionally, or they might flip to another blue blood program. You don't see teams like Indiana, Rutgers, Iowa State. You don't see those teams flipping. So for him to do that twice in the last 3 years, I think it was, because the last one was Samson James, that's a big deal. And again, kids, 4-star, 5-star, high 3-star guys are going to notice that.
Here, I'm looking at the chart. Actually, this just starts in 2005. It's not as long back as I thought. So, and in 2005, 82% were 2 stars.
Wow.
82%. 78 of the players.
That's a MAC roster.
In 2005, in 2005, they had 78 2 stars or below, I'm assuming. They had 17 3 stars and 0s for 4s. They did not get their first 4-star recruit until 2011 when they got 1. And by then, though, the 2-star recruits had dropped to 50% of their recruiting. That is a gigantic drop in a short period of time.
Yeah.
But it just shows you. But then they got that first 4-star, like I said. Then they got it next year. They got 1. Then they got 5. Then they got 7. Then they've gotten 6. Got 6. Had a drop off there. 2, 1, back up to 5 to 6. Now 8. So they hit a lull there in 17 and 18. Is that the coaching change? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right at the coaching change.
Right at the coaching change. Yep, exactly.
So, and now it's turned around. And I talked about those percentages. Again, like I said, at 2000, it jumped already to 50% in 2011, which is astounding, and just continues to plummet to 2021. That number that went from 82% at just 2005 and is now 13%.
Whew. Yeah, that makes a huge difference.
82 to 13%. 80% of this roster is made up of 3 stars or better. 10% is 4 stars.
And that's why you saw them go 6-2 last year.